My YouTube channel has a lot to do with cell phone repair and cell phone durability. Believe it or not, I have only broken one cell phone in my life on accident. I'll tell you that story in a minute, but first I want to hear from a few of my YouTube friends to see if they've ever broken a phone. Normally on their channels we see these beautiful cell phones displayed perfectly, but I think there's some horror stories hidden in there somewhere. Let's find out.
Hey guys, I'm Kelsey and this is Pebbles, and with my phones I'm usually pretty careful. I typically put my phone in an OtterBox, but the one time that I didn't was when I cracked the screen. Pebbles was there. She could tell you, right? Okay, so I thought it was gonna be a good idea to try to walk two dogs and text at the same time. You know, what could go wrong with that? And, you know, of course I was distracted because I was texting and the dogs got excited, yanked the leash in my hand and my phone in one direction, and I had to watch my phone slowly hit the ground multiple times before just landing flat on the pavement. And, you know, it was an old phone, so I actually lived with the crack for a really long time and, you know, eventually got a screen and fixed it myself. But I guess the moral of the story is don't try to text while walking your dogs. But if you do and you break your phone, you can always fix it yourself.
What's up guys, this is Saf from Super Saf TV, and phone breaking stories, well I actually have a few. I've been known to drop my phones in the past, not deliberately all the time anyway. But the first time I actually completely broke a smartphone was the Samsung Galaxy S4. I tend to use a case pretty much most of the time, and I had the S4 for about a year, and then the case kind of fell apart, so I decided to go naked, which was a bad idea because I think within a couple of days of me doing that, I dropped it flat on its back on a hard surface and the screen just went. It wasn't shattered or anything, but it just wouldn't switch on. Now the cost of the repair was around half the value of the phone, so I didn't really bother with it, and at the time I didn't know Zach, otherwise I'd have definitely hit him up for some help in repairing it. Now another interesting story about me breaking one of my phones is the iPhone 7 Plus. I dropped it, and although there wasn't really any visible damage, the front-facing camera stopped working. Now I took it into the Apple store, they had a look at it and they saw some structural damage, so they did say that I'd have to get a replacement phone, which costs around £350 here in the UK. But they said that because I had bought it from them and it hadn't been too long that I had it, they actually gave me a replacement for free. Now this is why I always advise buying Apple products directly from Apple themselves, and also why I praise Apple customer service so much, not because I'm a fanboy. Thanks for having me, Zach. This is Saf from Super Saf TV, and I'll see you next time.
Hey guys, this is Austin, and I have never broken a phone. That's a total lie. I've actually broken a couple. So the very first smartphone I ever broke was the original Moto X. So remember, it was actually one of those first review units that I got. So I got it straight from Motorola. I was doing my video. The day after, I went go-karting and I left it in my pocket. And it was bent. The frame was like completely like jacked up and the screen was totally shattered. So I felt kind of bad. But Motorola was cool with it. So, you know, that was great. Another story was, it was actually last year, I actually killed an iPhone 7 Plus twice. So the first time was when I was doing my video and I was doing a quick little water test. So I took it was obviously the first iPhone that was waterproof, dropped it in a fishbowl, picked it up, and it started freaking out. Water was inside, the screen was a little fogged up, or specifically the actual camera was fogged up. So that was kind of bad. But the good thing was it dried out. Until I was running across the street and without a case on, it flew out of my shorts and smashed right into a curb and again, totally shattered the screen. So, you know, in like the last 10 years, I've broken 2 phones. I think that's not so bad, right?
I'm Michael Fisher, and I have broken more phones than even those bad luck schlubs on infomercials. My most recent casualty wasn't a victim of dropping or shattering for a change, but of drowning. You've watched enough jerry-rig everything to know that the LG V30 is water resistant, but you probably also know that no phone is waterproof. Well, I knew that too, but I took it swimming anyway, in the salty Pacific. And you know what? I got some of the most fun photos and videos of that trip thanks to the V30. And then I pushed my luck. See, when the phone survived all that, I thought it was thanks to my careful freshwater baths. I thought it could also handle a whole afternoon in a chlorinated swimming pool, taking more ridiculous underwater photos. And it totally did, until it didn't. A few seconds after leaving the pool, the display went black, and with the exception of a few flickers the next day, never came back. Do I blame the phone? No, you're not supposed to push it that far, and I admit that. Do I miss it, though? Heckin' yeah. Hey, Zach, 2 words. Repair collab. Think about it. And thanks for having me on to share my shame.
So I think a lot of people are going to find this pretty hard to believe, but I have never actually broken my daily driver phone. Not in any meaningful way. I have dropped my daily driver phone a fair bit. My iPhone 6 has a really nice dent on the corner. My Galaxy S8 has also a really nice dent on the corner. Going all the way back, my iPhone 4 actually has some spectacular scuff marks on the back piece of glass because I was actually moving at the time and I dropped it and it skidded along the ground. So the entire back of it has these deep scratches. But I have never actually had to do a glass replacement for one of my devices. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she is such a prolific phone breaker. She broke her S6 Active. Prior to that, she broke an Active. And then prior to that, when she was using a Droid DNA, the excuse was, well, the baby dropped it. And I'm sitting here going, why are you letting an infant use a phone? What did you think that a 6-month-old was gonna do with a phone? Handle it carefully? They're gonna chew on it and then they're gonna drop it. So she breaks her Droid DNA and it takes me a while to get the replacement parts because it wasn't exactly a very common model. Finally it comes in and I'm not the most experienced phone repair technician, but I'm competent enough. So I did manage to do a screen replacement, but it took me a little while. 3 days later, breaks it again. That was actually when we switched her to the S6 Active. Although, from the earlier point in this story, we all know what a great solution that ended up being. So in conclusion, I actually don't break phones, but my wife does. She does. I did break my iPad too. Oh, that was my fault. Okay, so we're sitting on the couch and we're about to watch a movie and I'm sitting on the iPad and I'm done with it. And so I kind of toss it onto the ground, onto the carpet in front of me. And we get, 10 minutes into the movie, long enough to kind of forget that I put it there. And my wife lays down on my lap because it's a boring movie and she's probably gonna fall asleep. She goes, oh, your keys, they're bothering me. And I go, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. That one was my bad, but it wasn't a phone.
Hey guys, it's Krystal, and here's a couple of my phone breaking stories. Let's take a little trip down memory lane. So my first most memorable phone breaking story was with my Galaxy S7 right in front of my house, right here, and I've definitely talked about this one before. This is Note 8, but let's just pretend it's a Galaxy S7 for the story because I don't have that phone anymore. I was running inside my house late at night one night. I don't know why I was running inside, but I was. And I tripped and fell on my brick concrete steps. And there's only 3 steps there, but I fell anyway. I scraped my knee, and instead of hurting my hand, I hurt my phone because I was holding it as I was running inside. And yeah, cracked the edge of it. I told myself I would put a case on every phone that I have and I would never be holding it while running, but I do that all the time anyways, so I never learned from that one. This next phone breaking story, kind of embarrassing, happened with my Nexus 6P. I have my Google Pixel here, so let's just pretend that it is a 6P right now. It happened as I was walking out of my neighborhood Walgreens, and it was summer 2016 when Pokemon Go was still a thing. Now this Walgreens was always a good spot to catch good Pokemon, so I thought, let me pull out my 6P and try to catch some. I opened up my Pokemon Go app and I saw a Snorlax just waiting for me to catch it. So I started flicking away trying to catch that Snorlax, and as I was flicking my little Pokemon balls trying to catch it, my phone slipped out of my hand and fell to the ground. And not only did I not catch my Snorlax, I also cracked my 6P. It was a really sad day because I love that phone, and it was actually one of the last times I'd ever played Pokemon Go, but yeah, it's pretty sad. And the most recent damage that I've done was to this iPhone 6 Plus. I don't even know why I had it out. I just did for some reason. I was holding it in my hand and I was leaning on the second floor balcony of my house, and it kind of just slipped out of my hand and fell to the first floor onto the hardwood floor, and then this happened. I mean, it's pretty bad, but considering that 20 foot or something drop, it could be worse, I think. It doesn't really turn on anymore, but it did have problems prior to the fall, so I think that fall was just his last, like, that's the last thing that it could take. It was coming to its final days anyway, but those are my phone breaking stories, and considering all the phones that I've had, I think I've done pretty good.
Hey, what's up guys? I'm KittyHD here, and yes, I have broken a phone. In fact, pretty recently. Now, I was actually previously pretty proud of my never broken a phone in a couple of years record. May have even mentioned that in my own videos, but this iPhone 10, I've actually tweeted pictures of this now. This is a phone that I've broken very recently. Well, actually, I don't know if I didn't break this phone, so I don't feel like I broke it, but it is my phone and it's broken. So the reason I say that is this broke while I was in a different room. iPhone 10 is so slippery that if you put it on a surface face down and leave it like that long enough and it vibrates and you get a few texts and notifications, it might vibrate enough to get to the edge of that table and fall. This happened. I put this on the top of a dresser in a different room. Went in 10 minutes, I was in a different room, maybe typing some emails, doing something else, and then I just kind of hear this crash, and I'm not really sure what it is, so I leave and I walk back to the other room and I find this iPhone on the ground with glass around it. There's chunks missing from the corner. It took a pretty hard fall. So I'm now again a member of the Broken iPhone Club. Again, I don't think I can say that I broke it. I don't consider this a phone that I broke, but that's the latest to happen to me.
The one time I broke a cell phone on accident was with the iPhone 7 Plus. There was about a period of 3 months where I was trying to give Apple a fair chance and use an iPhone as my daily driver. And about 3 months into it, it was okay. But after about 3 months into it, I was going on a date, went to go pick up the girl, gave her a hug on her front porch, and as I was giving her a hug, her purse or her hand or something hit this phone out of my hand, straight onto the concrete, flat down on the surface. I don't think I had a case on it. I can't quite remember, but I'm pretty sure there was no screen protector and no case, and the whole thing was just obliterated. And while I was fine using iPhone for those 3 months, that was kind of the abrupt end to my iPhone experience. I switched back to my Galaxy S7 Edge right after that. I did end up repairing this phone. I think I even did a video about it on my channel, and it ended up working perfectly, so there's no hard feelings. And there you have it. Most people who have owned cell phones in their life have damaged them one way or another. Whether it's their personal fault or the extenuating circumstances cause the damage, damage happens. And putting protection on your phone would be a good thing. I want to thank all my YouTube friends for joining in this interesting collab. I'll have all of their channels linked down in the video description. If you want to check out any of them individually, they're all solid people to check out. If you've ever broken a phone, I want to hear your story down in the comments. Make sure you're careful with your cell phone, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you around.